Hello, everybody. Ooh, my hair looks fabulous. Probably should have thought about that before I started recording, but too late. I know I haven't been around a while, but that just means I have an extra large stack of wax to share. So, let's jump into it. New failure. Your in the future, your body will be the furthest thing from your mind. As you can see, signed copy, direct from the band, double album, and it is so tasty. If you don't know Failure, they are a band, I guess you call them alternative band, from the 90s, who broke up, got back together a couple years ago, put out an album. Now they put out a new album, and it's damn good. It sounds very reminiscent of their sort of original 90s sound, if you would, which they kind of never lost, but at the same time, moving towards the future. The last track, the Pineal, the Pineal Electorate is this piano-driven, almost Beatlesque thing that is way out there, but I wouldn't want the album to end in any other way. Check them out if you don't know them. Great fucking band. If I'm pronouncing this properly, Hibushire. Freak out. Something freak out. Turn on, tune in, freak out. Japanese trio band consisting of way whacked out guitar, fuzzed out, maxed out, grinded out with bass and drums to accompany. It's just a great, as a band, as the name implies, a freak out album. Second album from them, really damn enjoy it. Loud, noisy, ruckus, everything I want. Japanese bands going on. Acid Mother's Temple and Melting Paraiso UFO. I have a bunch of them in here. This is Invisible Eyes and Phantom Cathedral. What's there to say? Acid Mother's Temple, Acid Mother's Temple. I love them. This is a reissue of one of their earlier albums, which apparently the band didn't even know was reissued at the time. Oops. Does the Cosmic Shepherd Dream of Electric Tapirs. Acid Mother's Temple. You know, woohoo. And again, more Acid Mother's Temple. Hallelujah. Hallelujah Mystic Garden Part 2. And yes, there is a Part 1 that might actually be in this stack. This came off of Important Records, I do believe. Rosie Cunningham, or Rosalie Cunningham. New album she put out. Her first solo endeavor. She was the guitarist and vocalist for Person. Or, yeah, Person. I don't know why I'm thinking something different. But, English, it has that sort of very 60s dreamy English pop going on. Kind of Beatlesque, but a bit more psychedelic than that. I mean, this album is just great. I would say it's poppy over everything else, but really it's kind of a psychedelic album. Pretty damn good shit. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Braindrops, the new Tropical Fuck Storm. This album is okay. It's not as good as their first album. This one has a bit more of a, I guess you'd call it an electronic sound to it, or dub sound. Well, not really dub, but you get the idea. Just, it's a bit more of electronica going on than the first one, but still, I mean, sort of dry, crazy vocals with some tinged out reverb guitar. I enjoy it, just not as good as the first album, in my opinion. James Blood Ulmer with The Thing, Baby Talk. This album sounds exactly like you think it would. It's The Thing doing their free jazz thing, along with James Blood Ulmer doing his thing. One of my favorite guitarists. I was very excited when I got that one. More Acid Mother's Temple, the Those Who Came Never Before. Zigzag Power Trio. Also a signed copy. Look at that. I got this one off of, I think it was a Kickstarter that they did. I can't remember. But also featuring one of my favorite guitarists, Vernon Reid, with who is it? Will Calhoun, of course, drummer, and Melvin Gibbs, who's the bass player from Rollins Band. It's a live recording, live at Woodstock, I think it was, something like that, or just Woodstock Sessions, New York. Live recording. They play a couple covers. Awesome cover of Lonely Woman. Then they do a couple just sort of free out there things. Bluesy, a little psychedelic, a little jazz going on. I mean, Vernon Reid, you can't go wrong. I really enjoyed it. The first Tropical Fuck Storm album. I think this one's also on a color. Let's check it out. Yes. Green. This album is really damn good. Tropical Fuck Storm is a Australian band. And to me, this album sounds or comes off as being very 90s alternative. It's just really good. I mean, just, you know, reverby guitars, loud, but at the same time, bringing it down into a groove-oriented madness, if you would, that just brings you in. And then the vocals, the guy just sort of, it's like he's just forcing them out, like just throwing them out like a cannon at you. Really damn good. Obviously, from the description, you could tell I like this one better than the other one. But it's a great band. Check them out if you want. This one I picked up because somebody had shown it and it looked awesome. I do believe they're also from Australia, but Aver, I want to say you pronounce it. Orbis Major. Psychedelic music. Feels very sort of free-flowing, you know. Some vocals, some are just instrumental, but very groove-oriented, very flowy, and also loud, psychedelic, and just spacey rocky to me. I really enjoy that. Acid Mother's Temple, Wandering the Outer Space. More Acid Mother's Temple. I warned you there'd be a lot. Anytime Acid Mother's Temple comes out with something, I just automatically buy it. The new Fire Orchestra album, Arrival, off of Room Gramophone, of course. This is really good. This is more mellow than some of their other albums, their other previous releases, I should say. The opening track is just amazing. Oh, it's just this groove that keeps going and it builds. But unlike some of the other albums where it reaches this huge noisy crescendo, it never really gets there. This album is sort of that way. There's a groove and you're sort of expecting this punch through crescendo with, you know, 20 some odd musicians just giving you this wall of sound like their other albums did. But this one doesn't give that. It's a bit more restrained. It's a bit more psychedelic in nature, although not like psych rock or anything like that, just within its nature. I mean, it was refreshing for me. That's the word. It was refreshing compared to some of their other stuff. I expected one thing, I got another thing, and I was pleasantly surprised. More Acid Mother's Temple, the shift something, the sacred and inviolable shaved fish. Shaved fish. Phase shift. Wigworm, Signs of the Silhouette. This is off of Bam Balam Records from France. I don't know if they're a French band, but it's spacey psychedelic rock going on. It feels very sort of, I guess you'd say, free. You know, like just something they get in there and they just play. It doesn't seem like it's something very planned, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's just how it feels. I really like it. Put it on, spin it, don't even think about it. Origin Space Collective, Good Planets Are Hard to Come By. This is a reissue for the first time on Wax, and I just always get their music. You know, improvised band, constantly changing members, space rock, psychedelic, the shit I love. I can't go wrong. Astral Cube, Black Cube Marriage. I got this because Rob Mazurek plays on it, one of my favorite trumpet players, and he's not very prominent on it, I should say, because there's a bunch of different people that are playing on it. But this is more music concrete than jazzy like in some of his other stuff. And it's this gentle wall of sound, if you would. It's not abrasive. It's not slapping you, really. But it's just there. And it's just like hugging your face. Gotta love it. Milk Belly, Nothing Valley. This I got cheap. Like off Amazon. I think it was only like $8 or $9. I mean, so I was like, hells to the yeah. And they are another band that they seem inspired, if you would, by that 90s alternative, maybe call it grunge if you want, era where there's just loud, distorted guitars going over into reverb and feedback with some vocals that sound almost like they're from Kim Deal, you know, coming from, you know, I can't remember the name now. Oh well, doesn't matter. But female vocals, heavy guitar, amazing drumming. The drummer just goes to town on every one of these songs. Just fast pace, really damn good. Picked it up cheap. I was surprised how cheap, and it's a great album. Love it. Elephant Nine, another off of Rude Gramophone. If you don't know them, they're sort of, I guess you call them a psychedelic jazz or rock jazz group. Very organ sort of driven. The main prominent would be the organ. Sometimes they have guitars racking in on there, but groove music, if you'll call it that. I love that shit. Can't go wrong. Yoshida Tatsuya, Richard Piñas, and Kawabata Makoto. What more needs to be said? And then, a very similar album, Live at Tusk, featuring Richard Piñas, not Kawabata Makoto, Tatsuya Yoshida, one of my favorite drummers, and Ryoko Ono, who is an amazing saxophonist, Japanese, and she does everything from like straight bop jazz to that screaming free jazz to just crazy out there noisy stuff. She is amazing. But Tatsuya Yoshida, one of my favorite jazz drummers, also on this one. I shouldn't say jazz drummers, he does everything. But they were in Ruins together, Sax Ruins, Ryoko Ono, Yoshida Tatsuya. Live album, flowing free music, love it. More Acid Mother's Temple, featuring Pika Pika. This is a live album, Astral Infinity Discotheque. Double album. Their live albums are very loud, very raucous, and it sets you in the right frame of mind. The Grand Acid, German band, I do believe. Very 70s blues rock. I guess you'd call it psychedelic, if you will. I guess because they're German, you could call it krautrock, rock, but whatever. The album's great. If you like that bluesy, rocky thing going on, check them out. Pick it up. Acid Mother. What the hell am I thinking? Marilyn Manson, Heaven Upside Down. This is sort of a guilty pleasure album for me. I grew up listening to and loving Marilyn Manson and have been ignoring his last couple albums, but this one warnered my attention. It was very good. It features, what the hell's that bass player's name? Can't remember his name. No, the bass player from the Mars Volta. What the hell's his name? Oh, well. Death Lust. More just distorted, reverby feedback and rock going on. A little poppy every now and then here, but overall, pretty good. The Claiborne Lennon Delirium. This one's been out a while. I snoozed on it, but I finally got it. Although I've had it for a while, I just haven't been on to show people. So, but regardless, I really like it. It sounds just like you'd think. It sounds like Les Claypool with the Beatles. Terry Palmieri, He Who Lives in Many Places. This is an album that has been on my want list for many, many years. and I finally got around to getting it, and yeah, didn't let me down. Jazz album, pumping up. It's great. Features Herbie Hancock with John Abercrombie. Can you tell I'm bad with names? Masada Temples by one of my favorite Japanese bands, although there are tons of them. Kikagaku Moyo. Look at that cover. Oh, it's beautiful. Their albums keep getting a bit more poppy-esque, 60s sort of poppy-esque when they were more sort of 60s underground psychedelic. It's not a bad thing, but I'm just hoping they sort of get back to their first couple albums where it was just a little bit more heavy. Regardless, great fucking album. I'm not going to criticize the band for updating or changing or evolving their sound, but I really enjoy it. So, but hey, you know, if you want to go back or Self, Ornament and Crime. Speaking of pop, rock pop at its best. This album was recorded in 2004, but was never released. And it came out, they pressed it for the first time on vinyl like a couple years ago. And like I said, it's poppy rock music, and it's just, it catches you and you can't help but spin it. And when you're done, you want to spin it again. Alexander Tucker, away, don't look away. Best way to describe this is psychedelic folk music, you know, layered acoustic guitars with a little bit of, you know, keyboards in there and electronica, if you would, with some dreamy, far-off vocals. I mean, I love this guy. I can't help it. The first couple albums came out in the early 2000s, and I got him. He was in, what's that band? Miasma and the Carousel of Headless Horses with Daniel O'Sullivan. He's also in a band with Daniel O'Sullivan. So, you know, they are connected. He is English born, and he is fabulous. Orzen, the Space Collective, some more Kai, I don't know how you pronounce that. Kybalion. I don't know how you want to pronounce it. More improvised space rock music, psychedelic, jammy, and delicious. Acid Mother's Tambo. I warned you there was a lot. Don't reverse of rebirth in universe. Listener, and being empty, being filled. This is a band that I came across just randomly on YouTube. I think I was listening to one thing and it led me to this. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. The best way to describe it is talk rock. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like spoken word. Like the guy isn't singing, he's talking. And as he's talking and sort of yelling without singing, it's not rapping, it's not singing, it's kind of a talk sing song thing with some awesome poppy psychedelic, not psychedelic, alternative, poppy alternative music going on with this guy sort of half talking, half screaming, half singing. I mean, it's great. It's almost like he's a caricature as he's saying something, but he's almost like, yeah, don't take me seriously, but listen to my words. Thus, listener. This is amazing album. Hizuru, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Hizuru. Japanese band, found them on Bandcamp. It is a great, beautiful, and seamless mix of classical and jazz. It's the best way I could put it. Classical and jazz. And it is just as beautiful as this cover would predict it to be. Great album. Another Self. More of that delicious poppy rock that you just have to play again. I think this is their first or their second album. Subliminal Plastic Motives came out in like 95, I think. 96, something like that. 95. I mean, poppy rock music. As I said before, you stop playing it, you want to spin it again. It's that catchy. Sleep! The Sciences. Like many of you guys, I imagine, out there who are big Sleep fans, you were just as excited as me when this came out. And it's Sleep. It sounds like it could have came out in, 1996. It's Sleep. Faithful as ever to their sound while still being new and fresh. Fucking great album. Fucking great. I could spend 20 minutes just talking about that album. And lastly, thank you for bearing with me. It's a lot of records. Lastly, and I do not know how to pronounce this. I want to say it's Kionji Hayakai, Japanese band featuring one of my favorite drummers, Yoshida Tatsuya, from Ruins, from the other albums I showed. The best way to describe this is weirdo jazz. It's kind of rocky, it's kind of jazzy, it's kind of prog-ish. They're singing, but it's in a made-up voice. Made-up language. Like, literally, it's just a made-up language. Like, they're just sort of singing along with the music. It's notes, but it's not words. It's great. Lots of different time changes, lots of different sounds going on, lots of different textures, lots of different types of music being played. One song sounds very rocky and bluesy, and then all of a sudden turns into this jazzy freak-out thing. And then, the next song is a little more sort of proggy and poppy. Then it's all over the place, and it's fucking fabulous. What do you think? Blew through a lot of records. I have some more to show, I think, but for now, that's the vast majority of it. I can finally put some of these away and, organize a bit more. But, until next time, whenever next time will be, thank you all for hanging out with me. Hope you enjoyed. Hope that you can, find some new bands. Expand your musical ground. Blow your mind. Till next time.